Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, I'm a little disappointed today. I filmed my BattleBox video and I went to go edit it and the file was corrupt. When I shut when I hit record, obviously record the video. When I'm done, I hit record again. The second time when I hit record to shut it off, I got some weird message and then it asked to recover the data. I didn't think much about it, but whatever happened, the file is completely corrupt and I can't even view it, let alone edit it and post it. So I sat down here, turned the camera back on, I grabbed the stuff to at least give you a recap of what was in there, what I thought, and the guy across the street wanted to blow his leaves right now. So if you hear the buzzing in the background, that's what that is. So, life goes on. I did want to give you like a little recap. So I did like all the stuff that was in the box. The mission brief basically talked about winters around the corner, cold weather, that kind of stuff, and some of this gear might be enjoyable during the winter months. So yeah, let's kind of get into it. Obviously, it's not the normal unboxing, which I love to do, and you guys don't get my first, reactions to things like that, but it is what it is. So this here is a very cool fixed blade, which I'm going to leave off to the side for a second, and this is a very interesting woods tool, which I'll leave off for a second. Let's look at this first. So we have Axe Wax. This is made in Ashland, Oregon. It says beware of imitations. All right, apply this to warm wood, metal, or leather. This handmade wax blend contains only the finest all-natural and food-safe ingredients. All right, so this is good to protect your gear. Actually, I mean, it smells kind of like a little bit like Obanoff's, which was always my go-to wax for a lot of different things, for keeping leather supple and whatnot. It has a little bit of a citrus smell in there too. It smells good. It's not like off-putting like some kind of wax combinations just smell a little funky, but it actually smells really good, and that will definitely help preserve those surfaces on stuff. It says metal as well to obviously prevent it from rusting. So then we got a MyMedic hiker medic pack. So this is kind of specific to hiking situations. I love everything MyMedic. Everything I've ever gotten has been top quality, just really nice stuff. You can go ahead and pause the screen there and there to see all the contents in here. But again, this is kind of going over, some of the stuff that might be more specific to someone in a hiking scenario. In the first video, I talked about the Benadryl being very beneficial. Sometimes you get reactions to things that you don't know you're going to have a reaction to. And I was talking about the story about Gus. So when Gus was with us, and God rest his soul, I do miss the little fella. I think about him every single day. But there was an incident, I'm fairly certain I mentioned it or had a story time or something, but I was visiting my parents, and he went out to go to the bathroom, and we came in and his face was completely blown up and swollen. There was a bee's nest that fell off the deck. It was on the deck underneath. It fell off. It was on the ground. And I have to assume that Gus went out there and, here's the bee's nest, and he walked over and just see what it is and sniffing it and stuff, and obviously got completely stung dozens of times, if not more, in his face. And so his face was swelling up and he was having a hard time breathing. And in that moment, I was freaking out. I'm usually pretty good under, stressful situations and pressure and stuff like that, but Christina is extremely level-headed and thinks quick in those situations, and she knew to give him some Benadryl, because we always keep Benadryl in our first aid kit in our car. So she ran to the car as soon as she saw that he was having a hard time breathing and stuff. Ran to the car, grabbed the Benadryl, gave it to him. And of course, Gus didn't like taking pills and stuff, so she had to, shove it down his throat, and he was gagging on it. Gave him some water, but it literally saved his life. And we brought him to a 24-hour vet that was in the area, emergency vet service, and that's what they said as well. That if you didn't give him that Benadryl, he wouldn't be with us. His throat would have closed, and he would have passed away prematurely. So that's a huge deal. Just little things like that you may not think of. I mean, obviously it's good for people as well. But yeah, Benadryl literally saved him. And so he got a couple extra years in his life because of the Benadryl. So something like that, something so small and simple, is just good to think about. You try to, when you're preparing for things in life, you try to come up with these different scenarios and solve them before they happen. That's the whole point of prepping and being prepared and having all this different gear and stuff. But anyway, long story short, these are good. Sometimes you want to customize these. So if you do hike or whatever, you look at this thing, you say, yeah, this is good, good, good. This has a whistle in it. You may or may not care about something like that. That is, again, specific to maybe hiking. If you hurt yourself and who knows, maybe you're super tired, you just can't yell out loud. You can use the little energy you have to blow into a whistle and perhaps you're heard, you know, little things like that. But anyway, first aid is always a double thumbs up for me because you can never have too much of the stuff. All right, so that goes off the side. We also got one of these, which is, you know, big old ferro rod. This is huge. It's kind of octagonal, which is kind of cool because you do have the flat sides to work with. But this thing will last forever. I mean, this is a massive, heavy, chunky ferro rod. All right, and there's a striker, and it's from this brand called Überleben. I may be mispronouncing that. It wouldn't be the first time I mispronounced something. But I'm going to go with Überleben. And they also had this, which I really, really thought was cool, also by Überleben. And they do a lot of fire stuff, apparently. And this is one of those you know, quick built stoves, right? So you can use this. Let me see if I can pop this together for you real quick. So we have our walls here. And it's funny because in the first video, and this is what happens with BattleBox stuff too, I open it and I make assumptions and then later I look at stuff and I'm like, yeah, that was wrong. I was wrong about that. So this had a film on it and the film was supposed to be peeled off, but it was like white with blue letterings and it was or blue lettering, excuse me. And it was hard to read. So when I opened it, the first time I opened it, I went like, oh, they must use like some kind of recycled metal from something. No, you're supposed to take that film off before you use it. It is a plasticky type film, so if you don't take that off and you just use it, it'll melt to it and probably be all nasty and stink and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, this is really, really simple. Pop this off. That's obviously the front where you're feeding in your fuel. So line up the walls. And this grate goes in the bottom. I don't know if this is easier to put on before or after, but now I'm having a brain fart thinking about how this thing works. Okay, yeah. So the one wall, see these tabs here? There's 3 tabs. Those obviously go in all 3, but the one with the hole doesn't have one. All right, so I'm gonna push that in there. Kind of hold this guy together a little bit. Put that on that. Push a little tab in there. All right. And then we have the last wall here. So these are also, you know, like it looks like it's embossed or whatever. The, I don't know how to say it, the inside, you can kind of tell the difference in the inside because this is raised as opposed to pushed in. All right, so this is gonna be a little tricky doing the last one. This goes like that. Pop that thing in the bottom. Make sure this goes through. And the bottom. All right. Oh, this one wall came off. There it is. Okay, so there's the stove. And then we have these 2 bars that crisscross on top. And that is so that you can obviously rest like a cup or something that's smaller than the diameter of the top. All right, so this one just kind of pinches in the corners here. All right, and you can see the little slots. Goes like that. And in this corner. Make sure these are lined up properly. Nope, no, not centered. They go into each other. Okay, there we go. All right, so after a little bit of struggle here, just because feeling the pressure of making a video, all right, so there you go. That's basically what's going on. So again, you can rest smaller things on top here. You're gonna start your little, you know, wood fire and then just feed in your kindling and stuff through the side here. All right, so, all right, another disruption. That's just what happens. All right, so this is fairly simple to assemble. Of course, once you get used to using this, it'll be even easier each time. Pop that out, pop that out. Put all your sheets together. And you got your floor plate and then your crisscross things to go on top. And of course I love these waxed bags. We've gotten those before from other fire related stuff, and I think they are fantastic. So yeah, so we have a cool little stove there. So now we get on to the tools. So this one's actually really interesting. This is what kind of bums me out because I read all about it and stuff in the first video. But this is a Scatchit, okay? So this is made by Mountain Bonded, all right, United by Nature. And essentially it was talking about how the Scatchit was a tool of yesterday and how they just don't make them anymore. And Curran's little thing was saying, you know, it's cool to go on eBay or find them, you know, places here and there. But this particular company kind of brought it back and they recreated this tool. So the Scatchit is a kind of a multi-tool, all right? Essentially we have an Ulu style blade here, all right? And it has a little gut hook on it. So you can use this as a hand tool, cut things, skin animals, do whatever, cut rope. But also you can use it as a hammer and a hatchet if you affix your own handle. Okay, so this came with a screwdriver and 2 screws here, some wood screws. And the idea is that it just packs away, nice, neat little tool. But if you want to use the hatchet or hammer function, when you're out in the bush, you just, you know, carve your own stick, you jam it in there, all right, and then you screw in the screws so that obviously it's not moving. Now, if you've ever like put a new stave on, you know, a hatchet or something like that, the best way you can really do it is you would put a split in the actual handle. So when you push it through the handle, there's a little split there, and then you put a wedge piece in and you kind of hammer that in. So it really creates a lot of pressure so it doesn't want to move. And then of course you could screw it in if you want to do it properly and use it long term. But the idea is you don't have to worry about that too much because you're just using the handle for one particular situation and you can take it off and throw it out. I like the idea of this. The only thing I don't like is that, like, I like when things are just kind of, I don't know, all in one. So the fact that you need a screwdriver and screws, I mean, you don't actually need this, but I would definitely recommend it for extra security if you're jamming a stick in there. And this, it looks like it's threaded, all right? But again, that's probably just grooves so that you can really, you know, kind of jam the wood in. Because when you're swinging this, you do not want it to, you know, come off. If you're splitting wood or if you're hammering with the back, which is very solid, all right, it would probably work really nicely as a hammer. But you don't want that handle to get loose and this thing to go flying off. All right, so make sure, however you decide to do it, it's super secure. What you could do too, if you happen to have your own materials and stuff, is you could, you know, drill through the handle here and put some kind of a very thin metal rod and kind of bend both ends or something just to make sure this is completely secure to your handle. But anyway, that's the idea behind this this tool, the Scatchit, is that it is a little hammer, hatchet, cutting type tool. All right, a big old belt loop. So hands off your belt if you need to. And then, you know, you can make a makeshift handle for it. Essentially, that's what it is. But I like it. It's kind of cool. Something different. And then last up here, we have a fixed blade. Now, I haven't seen this company before. This is Holtzmann's, Holtzmans, if I'm not mistaken. They have a little gorilla on there. All right, and I like this thing a lot. I was talking a lot about this in the first video, but I'll repeat some of it for you. This is in 1095, which I'm a huge fan of, especially for outdoorsy type stuff. I do love 1095 carbon. There's a retention strap here, so you undo the strap. Nice Kydex sheath. Snaps in fantastic, but the retention strap's kind of a bonus so that for some reason it gets bumped or comes out of the sheath, which would be so incredibly rare. But let's just, you know, suppose it does. It retains inside because of this little strap. So, I mean, it might seem like a pain in the butt, you know. You can definitely remove that if you want to. So you just take the screw out. It's just going through one of these rivets. I don't mind it. I think it's kind of cool just to have a little backup to a backup. But there's no real, you know, common way for your fixed blades to pop out of their sheaths. But yeah, so a tech lock on the back. Fantastic little setup, little drain hole, you know, created inside that sheath. So a very nice little sheath system. The knife itself feels great. I do like the design. I like the little cutouts on the side here as well. You can hold in different grips. Again, 1095. My only gripe with this, there's a little lanyard hole in the bottom. The only thing I didn't like about it was that the edges right up here are just a little bit on the squared off side. I don't want to say sharp. They're not really sharp, but they're squared shoulders, which does create, for me, again, just initial, I didn't get to use this knife yet, but just my initial impressions is that if you're using this hard and your hand rides up and rubs on that, it's going to create a little bit of a hot spot in your finger here. I don't know from usage. I'm just making that assumption, just holding it, you know, brand new. But yeah, I mean, it has a huge palm swell. You can see it from the side. It puffs out in the middle there, and it's obviously very wide, tucks back in for your pinky. I mean, it really gives you basically a big ball to hold on to, so it's fairly comfortable because of that. It's really nice. I like a good palm swell in a hard use little fixed blade like this. Looks like a G10 scales with maybe some G10 liners. The red, very nice. Pretty cool. I mean, I like it overall. I just don't know if this is something that's going to need a little bit of sandpaper work, you know, to make sure that's going to be nice and smooth and comfortable for you. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That was the November 2022 BATTLBOX. So, sorry you didn't get the first impressions. Like I said, I was super bummed when I saw the file just was not working. But I wanted to show you something. I wanted to at least show you the stuff that came in here, talk about it a little bit. But I like it. I love all this gear. The first aid stuff, like I said, not always the most exciting thing to open up, but for me it is super exciting because I like to keep kits everywhere and I like to really keep them full. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Also, a quick little tip. This is fine too because this is like a grab and go. Like you would get this product, you would put it in your backpack or your hiking bag, whatever it is, and you would leave it. You have obviously a contents list on the back. So if something happens, you look at it, do I have that? Yes, I do. Okay, I could take this, this, and this. But I oftentimes customize my first aid stuff. So I highly recommend that if you are changing things in here, you make a new list. You keep it on a card in there. If you have the availability to laminate it, even better. So you know exactly what's in there. And obviously, when you use something, make a little note in your phone or something like that and replenish it. Because I've heard stories where people had a little first aid kit in the car or whatever, or had some Band-Aids. It could be something super simple. It's not like you're dying out in the middle of nowhere. You know, you just cut your finger, use a little Band-Aid from your first aid kit. Oh, you cut your finger again. Oh, and you know, 2-3 years go by. And then you have a nice little first aid kit in your car, but guess what? Your kid or you, your wife or whatever, cuts your finger, cuts your leg, whatever. You need a Band-Aid, but your first aid kit's empty because you kept taking from it and you didn't replenish it. So make sure you replenish your first aid stuff, okay? But that's pretty much it for now. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.